Students, now we will start our second chapter, that is the Vedic period. In that Vedic period, we have to study about Vedas and epics, iron artifacts and pottery. Brief comparative study of early and later Vedic society and economy. In short, we have to study about the difference and similarities between the early and later Vedic society and economy. Some scholars and historians refer to the period when Aryans first settled in India as the early Vedic period, that is from 1500 to 1000 BC. Between 1000 BC to 500 BC, when iron had come to be used, it is believed that Aryans followed the course of the rivers and settled along the valley of the Yamuna and the Ganga. Means, as per we have studied in first lesson, that is the Harappan civilization, whenever people started to settle on the banks of the river for the cultivation and agriculture, because they knew very well that if they will progress in agriculture at that time, only they will progress about themselves. Same way, Aryans also did that whenever they invaded to India. At that time, they also started to settle on the banks of the rivers of Yamuna and Ganga. And for the use of agriculture purpose, they started to make weapons and tools of iron. For protect themselves from their enemies, they started to made weapons of iron. Because they knew very well about the quality of iron. Iron tools helped them to clear the forest. They moved in the eastward and the southeastward directions. This you have studied about Krishna, Lord Krishna's. Whenever he was just wandering with his cows, wherever he was getting greenery, he was just carried his cows there. Means, in short, at first they were just having one source of economy, that is animal caring. Aryans so far nomadic in nature, gradually settled in Gangetic Valley. This period is known as the later Vedic age, that is 1000 BC to 500 BC. The culture of the period is referred to as the Vedic culture because it was based on the Vedic text. Why that period is called as per the Vedic period? Because that period was referred to the Vedas. You know very well there are the 4 Vedas. First one is Rig Veda, another one is Yajurveda, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Sam Veda and Atharva Veda. And there are other Sanhitas also mentioned there. Now we have to see the sources. First we will see the literary sources and another one is archaeological sources. Now we will see at first literary sources. In the literary sources, the Vedic texts may be divided into 2 broad chronological groups. First one is the early Vedic text, that is from 1500 to 1000 BC, when most of the hymns means prayers and worshipping songs of the Rig Veda were composed, and the later Vedic text, that is from 1000 to 500 BC, to which belong to remaining Vedas and their branches. In the later Vedic text, we have to see about the Brahmanas, Aranyakas and Upanishads. The 2 periods are correspond to the 2 phases of Aryan expansion in India. Means how Aryans just settled in India, how they were expanded in India. That we have to see in the two Vedic texts. First one is early Vedic text and another one is a later Vedic text. The social, economic, political and religious aspects of the life of the people came to be reflected in the Vedic literature. Why? literature is just mentioned about the whole culture and progress of society. In that progress, they have mentioned about social, economic, political, and religious changes, religious beliefs, and lives of the peoples. That is just whenever we will do study of that Vedic literature, we will find that reflection in that books. That's why Vedas became the storehouse of knowledge. Means nowadays also we are getting knowledge about the past. At that time we were not there. We were not alive at that time. We never observed that personally. But by reading that text, we are understanding that what type of civilization was there, what type of society that was. The Vedic literature was written in Sanskrit. At that time, people were referring the Sanskrit as per the educational language. That's why various types of teachers or preachers, just scholars, just used the Sanskrit as per the language of their literature. That's why it is that's why the precious texts are mentioned in the Sanskrit only. And in Sanskrit only, the Veda means the term Veda has been derived from the Sanskrit word that is called as per the Vid. Vid means knowledge. Knowledge means in Hindi we can call it as per the Gyan. Vedic literature is divided into two parts. First one is Shruti and another one is Smriti. It is believed that the Shruti was revealed to the sages by God. Shruti means the skill of listening, and Smriti means the skill of remembering. So that is said that Shruti means whenever God directly spoken with the sages or the scholars, that process is called as per the Shruti. And whenever that and then that scholars or sages just passed that knowledge whatever told them by God orally from generation to generation, that is called as per the Smriti. Means whatever is available, whatever is present in your mind, whatever is told to you, that you are just conveying to another one. You are just giving knowledge about that thing by orally. That process is called as per the Smriti. On the other hand, Smriti literature was composed by the rishis. That sages were also called as per the rishi munis. The Vedic literature can be classified into the following categories. That categories we have to see. At first we have to see the four Vedas. Previously I mentioned that first one is Rig Veda, another one is Sam Veda, then Yajur Veda and Atharva Veda. And in short, the Samhitas also mentioned. The Samhitas means in short their meaning is just mentioned for the sake of the people or the learners. The Brahmins attached to each Samhita. The Brahmanas attached to each Samhita, then Aranyakas, and the last one is Upanishads. That is the category of the Vedic literature. Means that is the classification of Vedic literature done by the rishis or sages. At first we will see about the Rig Veda. Rig Veda is the first one religious text or the Veda. It is the oldest religious text in the world and is therefore known as the first testament of mankind. That is the first testament made by the man. That is divided into 10 mandalas. That is said to have been composed during the early Vedic period. Means it is just said by the people that Rig Veda is just created or written at the time of early Vedic period. The hymns are dedicated to sages by the sages to gods. We know very well that people are having craze or faith or belief in God. That's why that Rig Veda, whenever it was just written, various types of hymns were just written in that. The hymns are dedicated by the sages to gods. They were passed on orally from teachers to their disciples. Disciples means students. That hymns were just taught by the rishis to their students, and afterwards that students also was passing that knowledge to another generation. That process was called as per the Smriti. The Rigvedic hymns are authentic sources of knowledge. That hymns which were mentioned by the sages in that Rig Veda, that is the sources of knowledge of the life of people of that time. Means the life of people is just mentioned in that Rig Vedic period. Much of the Indian philosophy is based on the Rig Veda. Indian philosophy is especially based on the Rig Veda. As per we will take reference of the Rig Vedic hymns, then only we will understand about the life of the people of that time of India. Much of the Indian philosophy is based on the Rig Veda. It also contains the famous Gayatri mantra. You know that Om Bhur Brahsva Tatsavitурvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. That is also mentioned in Rig Veda. Although religious in nature, the Vedas are a valuable source of information in various subjects. If we will see about Indian culture, then we are getting more and more idea about the past and the social life of the people of that time by the Vedas only. Then secondly, we will see the Samveda. The term Sam means sweet song or the melody. Melodious songs are mentioned, or melodious hymns are mentioned in the Samveda. Various types of hymns are just mentioned in Samveda. In that Veda, some of the hymns are borrowed from Rig Veda. These hymns were meant to be sung at the time of sacrifice by the priest. Whenever yajna is going on or the priest are just sacrificing something at the time, they are just singing that sweet melodious songs by the Samaveda. Then the Yajurveda. Yajurveda deals with the hymns recited during the performance of the yajnas. Various types of yajnas were done at the time of early Vedic period. So that time Yajurveda, they were just following that mantras or chants which were just mentioned in the Yajurveda. These hymns in this Veda throw light on the social and religious life of the Aryans. If we will see about the Yajurveda, then we will realize that Yajurveda is also referring or reflecting light on the life of society and the social things of people. Then last Veda is Atharva Veda. The hymns contained in this Veda deal with magic and charm. At the time, people were believing the magic and charm. You have studied various types of serials which were related about the past. In that only we are understanding that they were using magic, some mantras for the purpose of magic and charm also. Most of the hymns are taken from Rig Veda. Rig Veda is also referred here. Besides the powers of spirits, the hymns deal with Gyan, Karma and Upasana. Some hymns also deal with medicines for the treatment of various diseases. Even various treatments are also mentioned in Atharva Veda. Now we have to see the Brahmanas. Brahmanas written after the Vedas as the simple commentary. Means if a person could not read the whole Vedas, then he can read the commentary that is called as per the Brahmanas. Brahmanas written in prose. In short, we can understand that Vedas are written in a poetry form. They explain the social and religious importance of rituals as well as the value of sacrifices. Brahmanas are showing the importance of rituals and various types of values of sacrifices which was done during the yajnas. The Brahmanas are great historical value. Each Veda has several Brahmanas. Each Veda, for example, Rig Veda is also having its own Brahmanas, Samveda is also having its own Brahmanas, like that. All are having its separate Brahmanas. Then we have to see Aranyakas. Aranyakas word is also showing about the book which is just mentioning about the Aranya. Aranya means forest, or in Marathi we can call it as per jungle. They are known as forest books written for the guidance of hermits and the students living in the forest. Hermits means those who wanted to do study about the medicinal use of various types of plants which were available in the forest. and the students, those who are living in the forest with their gurus or gurus ashramas, they form the concluding part of the brahmanas. It is also it is also carrying a part of brahmanas. Their main themes are mysticism and philosophy. Mysticism means something which is just hidden from others, and philosophy is also mentioned in that Aranyakas. Then we have to see Upanishads. They are philosophical commentaries on the Vedas. It is also called a commentary, but philosophical commentary, which is called as per the Tattvajnan. The doctrines such as karma, moksha, and maya. Karma means the work which is done by you. Moksha means freedom from the cycle of birth and death. And Maya means the expectations from anything which is available surrounded to you. That are explained in detail. The Upanishads form the basic source of Indian philosophy that is composed by different sages. That type of philosophy is composed by different sages that is added in Upanishads. They are said to form the foundation on which later additions to Vedic literature rest. Means what? They are also trying to create a foundation for which were just created. They are just creating foundation for the texts which were just created afterwards in later Vedic period. Then allied Vedic literature we have to see, means other Vedic literature we have to see. The first one is the Vedangas. Vedangas deal with the ways in which the Vedas ought to be chanted. Means Vedangas means whenever Vedas should chant, at that what type of that should be, that is mentioned in Vedangas, and that are also important in the understanding of the Vedas. It is just making easy for the students the better understanding of the Vedas. The 6 Vedangas deal with pronunciation. First one is that Vedangas are related to the pronunciation, that are just showing about the grammar, etymology, metrics, and astronomy. That 6 things are just dealing with the pronunciation in the Vedangas. Then the sutras, we have to say, that is the second allied Vedic literature, that is divided into 3 groups. First one is Shraut Sutras, that is deal with the yagyas and sacrifices. Whenever yagyas and sacrifices are done, at that time the Shraut Sutras were used. Then Griya Sutras and Smartha Sutras, that both are dealing with the ceremonies connected with the family life. Various types of ceremonies we are just seeing in the family life. For example, from the birth of the person up to the death of the person, various types of ceremonies that person is just following. So that ceremonies ceremonies connected things are just mentioned in that Griya Sutras and Smartha Sutras. And another one is Dharma Sutras, that is providing rules of conduct for various classes of people and the various stages in their life. The Dharma Sutra is about how person should follow the rule in his life, and what type of life he should spend. For each class and each age is just mentioned in the Dharma Sutra. For example, Dharma Sutra is the guideline for all the class and age. Then third one is the Upavedas. As the name suggests, Upavedas. Upaveda means the subsidiary Vedas. For example, you know very well that Mukhya Mantri, Upamukhya Mantri. Like Rashtrapati, Uparashtrapati. Likewise, it is also showing that is the subsidiary of Vedas. They are 4 in number. First one is Ayurveda. Ayurveda is dealing about Indian system of medicine. Then Dhanurveda. Dhanurveda is describing the art of warfare. You know very well Dhanurveda means Dhanush and arrow is just used in that. Then Gandharva Veda. Gandharva Veda is describing the art of music, and Shilpa Veda, that is dealing with the art and architecture. Gandharva Veda is describing the art of music, and Shilpa Veda dealing with the art and architecture. That Upavedas are also added in the Vedic literature. Then Darshanas. Darshanas means that are 6 schools of Indian philosophy, which is known as Shad Darshanas. That they include that Shad Darshanas means whatever just seen by your eyes, which you can just follow in a presence of thing is available in front of you, and then only you should have to believe on it. First one we have to see Nyaya Darshana. Nyaya Darshana means we can just see by our own eyes the reality, the result, the Nyaya, the judgment we can see. Then Vaisheshika, then Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa means if before the thing should happen, and Uttar Mimamsa means after the thing is happened. Yoga Darshana means whenever you are just doing physical activities. Sankhya means related to the numbers, and Vaisheshika means various types of things. I just mentioned that. They all propagate the virtues of life and are opposed to external rituals. Means what? In reality, that is just giving importance to the virtuous life of life, and it is just opposing to the external rituals. Then we have to see fifth one, that is Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastra means the law books, that is called as Dharma Sutras, and the Smritis together with their commentaries are called Dharma Shastras. That is just laying down the duties for different classes of people. Various means all the classes were just divided, got their duties in a divided way. As for kings and their officials also, then Manusmriti gives the description of Hindu code of law, including the Varnas, the caste and the ashramas. You know very well about the manuscript. Manuscript divided the society into 4 categories. Then that is just mentioned what type of work should be done by the king and his officials. Then the last one is the Ashtadhyayi. Ashtadhyayi means that is a treatise on Sanskrit grammar by Panini. Panini is the great writer of the time. The information is given about the roots of the words and the context in which they were used in the Vedic literature. Nowadays we can just see that parts of language. In that parts of language we are studying about the nouns, pronouns, verbs, adverbs. That all 8 parts we are just learning. Same way that parts of that type of parts are just made for all the languages, even for the Sanskrit. So grammatically that are just mentioned by the greatest writer, greatest scholar, that who was that? The Panini. Here we will complete. In the next period we will start about the ethics.